Okay. Hello all, I'm Geetha Sharanya Bolla and I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. I'm a healthcare technologist specializing in cloud native architectures and interoperability solutions, and I'm deeply passionate about using technology to make healthcare more equitable and accessible for everyone, no matter where they live, right? So, over the last few years, I've closely worked with healthcare organizations modernizing their systems using Kubernetes, FHIR, and microservices, mainly bridging the gap between technology innovation and real world patient care. Today, my talk is titled about reimagining healthcare access with data integration and microservices at scale. In the next 35 minutes, I'm going to talk with you all about how data integration and modern cloud architectures are transforming healthcare, improving outcomes and driving efficiency, especially for rural and underserved populations. The healthcare data crisis, the modernization imperative, the cloud native architecture revolution, real world impact stories, and finally the design principles that make healthcare systems resilient and scalable. So, healthcare data crisis. So, when we talk about healthcare modernization, the first thing we have to acknowledge is the data crisis. Today, nearly 80% of critical patient data remains siloed across disconnected healthcare systems. That means that patient records, lab results, and even prescription data often live in separate databases that don't talk to each other. So, this fragmentation doesn't just create inefficiency, it directly impacts patient safety. For example, imagine a diabetic patient who visits a rural clinic, then a city hospital, and later a specialist. If these systems can't share data, doctors end up repeating tests, missing critical history, or delaying treatment. So, this isn't just a technology issue, it's a human issue. When data is fragmented, care becomes fragmented, right? So, globally, this lack of data integration inflates operational costs and slows down every aspect of the healthcare system. Now, so the question becomes, how do we break these silos? This brings us to the modernization imperative. So, the modernization imperative is the healthcare systems today are under enormous pressure to scale, integrate, and respond faster than ever before. So, we need infrastructure that can handle massive data of volumes and simultaneous users, doctors, patients, insurance systems all at once. So, we need interoperability where data moves freely and securely between providers, payers, and patients. And finally, we need to think about rural access. In many parts of the world and even parts of United States, access to specialists or diagnostics can take weeks simply because of geography. Technology has the potential to close that gap. So modernization isn't just optional anymore, it's essential. So we need scalable infrastructure, we need interoperable systems, and we need solutions that make healthcare systems accessible beyond city limits. So this is where the cloud native architecture comes into play. So the cloud native architecture revolution. So in the last few years, we have seen a revolution in how healthcare systems are being built, right? So, cloud native, Kubernetes based microservices are now redefining how hospitals and health platforms operate. Instead of one giant monolithic application, which we are trying to do everything, microservices allow us to break that system into smaller, independent components, each one focused on a specific function like patient management, billing, scheduling. So these services can scale individually, heal automatically, and communicate through standardized APIs such as FHIR, which is nothing but fast healthcare interoperability resources. What does this mean? Is that we can finally achieve true interoperability where every system speaks the same language? Yes. I like to describe it as a turning giant, rigid block into a set of flexible Lego pieces that can be rearranged, reused, and scaled independently. And Kubernetes acts as the conductor, orchestrating all of these services, making sure they're healthy, resilient, and always available. So, this architectural shift is fundamentally reversing healthcare inefficiencies, creating the systems are scalable, resilient, and interoperable. Now comes the HI is nothing but health information exchanges. So now let's talk about the real world impact of data integration. One of the best examples is the success of health information exchanges or HI. When systems began sharing patient data across hospitals, labs, and clinics, we saw immediate measurable improvements. Integrated HIs have reduced preventable hospital readmissions by 30% and also have cut duplicate lab testing by 52%. So that's not just efficiency, that's saving lives. So these integration mean patients don't have to repeat their story every time they enter a new clinic. It means few errors, faster diagnosis, and lower costs. And it shows us what's possible when we truly connect healthcare systems. But data integration alone isn't enough. We need a common standard for communication. That's where the FHIR comes in. Where standards adoption growth. The adoption of FHIR standards has been a major turning point for healthcare interoperability, right? So, what happened in 2017 is FHIR adoption was just 14.8%. By 2022, that number had jumped to 58.3%, a nearly a four-fold increase in 5 years. Wasn't that a great thing? Yes. So, this surge has made extra data exchange between electronic health records, telehealth systems, and mobile applications far more consistent and reliable. FHIR gives healthcare data a common grammar and structure so information flows like language rather than being locked in silos. So it's one of the quiet revolutions behind the scenes that's enabling everything from smart health apps to cross hospital analytics. So there are many analytics, right? So now we will see how our performance benefits come through, which is nothing but Kubernetes performance benefits. Let's talk performance because healthcare systems cannot afford delays. So when we moved to containerized Kubernetes native microservices, we saw 62% higher transaction throughput under normal operations and 47% faster response times during peak loads. Those are massive improvements in environments where every second counts, right? So now coming to infrastructure cost optimization, the cost dropped up to 57% and deployment times improved by 74%, meaning we can scale equally when demand spikes, like during a pandemic. This efficiency proves that microservices don't just make systems flexible, they make them financially sustainable too. Now let's take COVID-19 telehealth transformation. So the pandemic really put all of this to the test. Before 2020, telehealth accounted for barely 1% of all healthcare visits. Now, within months, that number just jumped to 35.3%, which is a huge change, right? So, that explosive growth was only possible because of cloud native microservices based architectures. Healthcare systems that had already adopted Kubernetes and standardized APIs were able to scale almost overnight, onboarding thousands of virtual consultations without downtime. This was a defining moment that it showed scalable architecture equals healthcare resilience. Now, the mobile health applications impact, right? So, it enhanced medication adherence rates, better chronic disease self management, and increased patient empowerment through data access. Now, rural healthcare success story. So, let's take this idea to the field rural healthcare. In one implementation in rural India, Kubernetes based telehealth platforms improved specialist access by 58% and reduced urgent care delays by 43%. That's transformative, right? So it means a patient in a remote village can consult with a cardiologist hundreds of miles away instantly. This isn't just about technology, it's about equity. It's about bringing healthcare to people who were once beyond reach. Cloud native systems are not just improving efficiency, they're creating fairness in access. Now, design principles for resilient systems. So, what can we learn from all of this? If you're building a modernizing healthcare systems today, there are four design principles to remember: cloud native architecture, standards compliance, scalability, security, and compliance. Cloud native architecture built on containerized microservices with Kubernetes orchestration. Standards compliance implement FHIR and other interoperability standards from the start. Scalability makes sure your system can expand elastically as demand grows. Security and compliance is throughout the entire development life cycle. These principles aren't just technical checkboxes. They define how resilient, safe, and equitable our healthcare systems will be in the future. Now, next comes the key takeaways. The key takeaways are mainly first, data integration is critical. So, breaking down silos through standardized APIs and health information exchanges delivers measurable improvements and in patient outcomes. Now, the second is microservices enable scale. It's nothing but Kubernetes native architectures give healthcare the performance, agility, and cost efficiency it desperately needs. And the third is equity through technology. Cloud native solutions can bridge healthcare systems, access gaps between, and bring world class care to undeserved communities. The future of healthcare won't be just about data, it will be about integration of data across every system and every patient anywhere in the world. So, thank you so much for your time and attention. Hope this session is helpful for all of you, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.